Welcome back to the episode of Techno Buffaloes Driven. I'm your host, John Rittenjeb. This week, it's BMW's latest and greatest, the new i3. This guy's got some hotness, all tied to an electric motor. Let's get drivening. So BMW's been threatening to go electric for years, and finally it's ready to make good on that promise. Meet the i3. We first saw the i3 in concept form back in Geneva a few years ago, and it's an odd duck, clearly to say the least. It's the first in BMW's new i-series of cars that's going to be joined by the holy crap, that's gorgeous, i8 sometime next year or early 2015. The i-Line represents a totally new way forward for BMW as they look to expand their electric portfolio, previously limited to the Active E, which was actually the publicly available test mule for the i3 and the Mini Electric. Yep, BMW actually owns Mini. So let's get the obvious out of the way here. This is clearly not your typical midlife crisis BMW. It's not a bright red fire-breathing V8 decked out with an M badge. This is a European-inspired people mover. It's more of a fancy Prius V than an electric 3 Series. The i3 will go on sale in the US for $41,350 in the second quarter of 2014. That does not include, though, any state or federal incentives that could lower the price and the $925 destination fee by as low as $10,000. The i3 is going to debut in 3 trim levels, which BMW is referring to as Worlds: Mega, standard in the US, Giga, and Terra. Silly names. So while it might be a little hard on the eyes, clearly, the BMW is packed full of technology, making it officially the butterface of automobiles. So BMW has named its technology LifeDrive. Thank heavens, no more iDrive. And it features the LifeDrive module and the Drive module. So the Life module is the i3's pillarless passenger cell, which is the very first mass-produced auto part made of carbon fiber reinforced plastic, which you'd think wouldn't be super secure and tough, but it's actually tougher than steel, and is also 30% lighter than aluminum, which contributes to the i3's pretty low weight of 2,700 pounds. That's of course the US figure, European might be a little bit different, and in turn increase its efficiency. So expect more of this technology to make its way to future BMWs. So pretty cool carbon fiber reinforced plastic. The plastic part sounds crappy, the carbon fiber part sounds awesome. Alright, so I'm about to get all techie on you for a minute here. The Drive module is a 100% aluminum chassis mounted under the Life module, housing everything that makes the i3 go. It includes a 22 kilowatt, 450 pound lithium ion battery mounted essentially as possible. It provides power to a rear mounted electric motor that turns the rear wheels, so that low center of gravity is going to help this guy handle really well, at least hopefully. It's a BMW, you're probably thinking it's gotta be super fast, right? You might want to think again. With 170 horsepower and 184 foot-pounds of torque from 0 RPM, the single gear i3 can accelerate from 0 to 30 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds, and 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds, but it's got a top speed of only 93. So BMW says the i3 has a real-world EV range of 80 to 100, and the standard charger can fill the battery in 3 hours. If you want to opt for the SAE DC fast combo charger, 30 minutes is all it takes for a full charge. 20 minutes though is going to bump the battery up to 80%, so get most of that charge right away. For customers who have range anxiety though, BMW is going to give them an option to install a 34 horsepower 650cc, don't hear that in cars very often, cylinder generator as a range extender for the electric drive system. That's going to be coming later in the year. It's not going to be available at launch in the second quarter of 2014. They're also allegedly taking the Tesla approach when it comes to selling the i-Series, which will be sold exclusively online. They will offer test drives at dealerships. So this car sits about $20,000 more than the Nissan Leaf it's competing against. It offers the same range, and is all that extra fancy tech and badging really worth it? I'm kind of curious what you guys think about all these short-range EVs. Do they have a future? Would you ever buy one? Under what circumstance would you buy one of these cars? I will say though, I'm kind of intrigued by the cool carbon fiber material and the new LifeDrive module. It's pretty high tech, but a car that can only go 80 to 100, you know, in real world, that's only going to be closer to 70. You're not going to drive at 55 miles per hour straight on the freeway. You know, so your miles per range are really going to vary, but I'd expect that to be on the lower end. We've seen, in cars we've driven, the Honda Fit had that same advertised range. We got about 75 miles. We drove the electric Focus, same range, got about 65 miles. So really about 70 to 80 is probably going to be your sweet spot. So for a car that's $20,000 more than Nissan Leaf and the Honda Fit and the Focus Electric, is it worth that extra money? The technology is super cool, the materials are awesome, it looks maybe a little bit better, and of course it's a BMW, but 80 miles is going to be really tough to justify. However, though, when you factor in those credits you might get from the federal government in your state, you drop that $41,000 price down to, you know, in the mid to low 30s, making it a pretty intriguing possibility. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the new i-Line, and when can we see the i8 in production form? That car looks freaking gorgeous. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Techno Buffalo's Driven. I hope you enjoyed. I am your host, John Rettinger. Be sure to subscribe to the tech feed for the latest and greatest tech news from all your favorite YouTubers. Do that right here, and I'll see you guys in the next video.